You know, it's funny how the image of men has changed so much over the years. Like, if you look back just a few decades, men were expected to be this tough, unshakable figures, strong, silent, emotionless, always in control. Crying, weakness. Talking about your feelings, unnecessary. Asking for help, forget it. But now, it feels like we've gone to the opposite extreme. Suddenly, we're being told that vulnerability is strange, that emotional intelligence is the new power, that men should be soft, sensitive, open, and I get it. That's progress, but sometimes uh, I wonder have we gone too far in trying to redefine what it means to be a man, to be a man. Or maybe we're just lost somewhere in between, not knowing whether we're supposed to be tough or soft. I think about this a lot because because as men, especially young men, where we are constantly trying to figure out who we're supposed to be in a world that keeps changing the definition. You grow up hearing, you grow up hearing, mom up, man up, oh man up, don't cry, be strong, and then you get older and people say, be sensitive, open up, show emotion, and you're like, wait, which one is it? It's confusing because both sound right, but both can also be misunderstood. Being tough doesn't mean being heartless, and being soft doesn't mean being weak. But somewhere along the way, people start treating them like opposites. Like you can't be both. I think the truth is that men today are trying to balance two worlds that don't always mix easily. We still want to be seen as strong, not just physically but mentally, emotionally. We want to project, we want to protect, to lead, to have purpose. But we also don't want to live behind a mask, pretending that everything's fine when it's not. We want to talk about our pain, our doubts, our fears, without being judged for it. And that's where it gets complicated. Because society says, be authentic, but then turns around and mocks men way they actually show emotion. A man cries online and the comments fill up with bro feel off or he's weak or he needs to toughen up. So how are we supposed to feel safe being vulnerable if vulnerability is still treated like a punchline? It's ironic, isn't it? It's ironic, isn't it? Everyone says men should open up more, but when we do, people get uncomfortable. It's like the world wants sensitive men, but only when it looks good on Instagram. I think what's really happening is that we're in a transition period between old masculinity and new masculinity. The old version said be strong and silent. The new one says be emotional and expressive. But maybe the real version, the one we're slowly discovering, is a mix of both. A man, with, a man who can be strong when he needs to be a gentle, a gentle when he chooses to be. I mean, think about it. When you see a man who confident, grounded, humble, that's no weakness or arrogance. That's balance. He knows when to fight and when to listen. He can defend himself, but he can also say I'm sorry. He can push through pain, but also admit when he's hurting. That to me is real masculinity. Because toughness without emotion becomes cruelty, and softness without strength becomes fragility. But when you put them together, you get depth, you get maturity, you get real power. And honestly, I think a lot of men today are struggling with that identity crisis. Where we grew up in a world that shames us for showing emotion, and now expect us to do it overnight. We're trying to break generational patterns while still learning who we are, and that's hard. Like no one teach you men how to deal with feelings. You just learn to suppress them until they explode. And when they do, people say, "Why didn't you talk about it earlier?" But how could we when we never learned how? That's why mental health among men is such a big topic now. Not because men are suddenly weaker, but because we're finally admitting that being silent didn't work. And the tough guy act didn't save us. It broke us. And yet being completely soft doesn't always help either, because life will test you. And if you're too fragile, you'll crumble. So you have to find that middle ground, to be kind but no naive, strong but no heartless, honest but no reckless. I remember a time when I thought showing emotion made me less of a man. Like like if I said I'm sad or I'm lost, people would see me as weak. But the truth is, pretending to be okay when you're not, that's the real weakness, because it takes courage to face yourself, to admit you're struggling, to ask for help. That's not soft, that's brave. And I think that's what a lot of men are realizing now. That is that it's okay to cry, that's okay to love deeply, that's okay to say I don't know what I'm doing. As long as you are and you're working on yourself, as long as you're standing back up after falling, that's the strength. Real strength isn't about muscle or money or dominance. It's about character. It's about resilience. It's about the ability to stay kind in a world that keeps trying to harden you. But at the same time, I also believe we shouldn't lose that fire, that edge, that hunger to be great. Because sometimes I feel like men are being told to dim their light, to be less ambitious, less assertive, less confident, just to fit into this soft version of modern masculinity. And that's not the solution either. The world still needs strong men who can build, protect, lead, and take responsibility. But strength today needs a new definition, one that includes empathy, respect, and emotional maturity. I think the best men are the ones who know how to control their power. They don't need to prove their tough, they just are. They don't need to brag, their actions speak. They can be calm under pressure, but fierce that fiercely when it matters. That's not softness or toughness. That's mastery. So maybe the question isn't should men be tough or soft? Maybe the real question is can we be both and be okay with that? Can we create a version of masculinity that's flexible where men don't have to perform toughness but can choose it when needed, where sensitive isn't a weakness but a skill, where we stop apologizing for being emotional and also stop using emotion as an excuse to avoid responsibility. That's the balance we need. That's the new masculine energy that's being built slowly, painfully, but necessarily. And you know what's interesting? The men who inspire me the most are never the loudest ones. They're the ones who move quietly but powerfully, who project without controlling, who live without dominating, who love without losing themselves. They're not afraid to be gentle, and that makes their strength even more real. I think that's what we should aim for, to be strong enough to protect what we love and soft enough to understand it, to be warriors with hearts, to be grounded but not rigid, to be emotional but not instable, to be men but better ones. At the end of the day, masculinity doesn't have to be redefined. It just has to be understood because it was never about being tough or soft. It was about being true yourself, to your true to your values, true to the people you care about. And if you can do that, if you can be honest, kind, disciplined, and real, then you are already becoming the kind of man the world actually needs. So yeah, men's image today is confusing, not dope, but maybe the confusion is part of the evolution. Maybe we're finally breaking free from the old scripts and learning to write our own. And maybe just maybe being both tough and soft isn't a contradiction. It's a balance we've been sharing for a long. Thank you. See you next time.